This is a super precision gyroscope. It defies gravity. Look at this. Look how beautiful this is. I'm showing you this because this whole instrument is going to be a part of our future. It's going to be part of a lot of mobility device, robots. They're going to be everywhere. I'm showing you this little guy, this little gyroscope, because this, I'm glad it's over. This is very interesting because this is for me a symbol of what creativity is. Creativity for me is a force that spins upon itself to help us make the impossible possible. And that's an interesting idea, making the impossible possible. What if you could create the future you wanted? Would you be interested? Of course. But I don't think it's just the right question yet. Instead, what if together we could create the future we wanted? So when we think about the future as human beings, we have a hard time figuring this out because we're very silly. So when we think about the future, we always see something very dystopian and weird, something a little bit like this. People live in a strange box, they don't have any plants, there's no nature, they look totally weird. It looks a little bit like an 80s video game. And I don't know, but it's not a future that interests me very much. And then, by the way, when you're not looking, here is what really is happening when you're not looking. These guys are messy. You should clean your room. What's going on? So, in order to ask ourselves how to create the future that we all want, I want to show you first a tiny bit about my life, really, really fast, because it's going to help us in this conversation. So this is what my life looks like, and it has a little module, and I'm going to really quickly walk you through them, really fast. So I'm starting here with my lovely family, and this is my wife Joanne and my daughter Margot, that I love very much. I'm a teacher here at Art Center College of Design, graphic design department, and it is a sweet moment for us because we have this thing called transmedia education. So I'm going to show you a few slides of our work by our students. And transmedia education really means past, present, and future combined into one thing that's very innovative. And so it's a really lovely moment for us right now because we're leaders in transmedia education. And as a teacher, I get to see students who come in, and once they graduate, they can do stuff that I can't do, which is awesome for them. Okay? This is White Wall Magazine. I'm the creative director of this magazine. I've been very interested working with this magazine because it has allowed me to talk with really top creative visionaries. And through this conversation, I got ideas that I'm going to share with you today. This is Maison Kitsuné, one of my clients, really cool fashion label / record label. And I have also an art practice because it keeps me sane. And part of it, I write little books about creativity, and I love writing because it allows me to connect with people that I wouldn't know otherwise. So I'm showing you all this because for me, all this makes me happy. It creates happiness. And here for this presentation, I thought, oh, I'll have a slide with a mug that says I'm the happiest man in the world, something like that. And guess what? This mug does not exist. On Earth, on planet Earth, there is, there's all kinds of mugs, but there is not the mug that says I'm the happiest man in the world. So what do? So of course I designed one, and as you can see, it oozes with happiness. All right, so happiness, and by the way, I'm not a role model, okay, we get this, is a process. That's what I've learned. And this process is generally connected with a set of ideas, how you decide to look at life. And I'm going to share with you 3 key concepts that are a little bit curious, and I hope they're going to help you do just that. Idea number 1, see everything as a living system. Well, the reason what I showed you about my life is that this is a living system. I am a living system, you are a living system. And I am the byproduct of many components that are all working together. So if you remove one of these components, I have huge problems. And it's interesting because biologists have told us for decades, watch out, nature is a complex living system, and we have a hard time understanding this. And then when you keep zooming in, you look at a city, and it's also a complex living system. You keep zooming in, a school is a complex living system, a workplace is a complex living system, a family is too. But when you keep zooming in and you look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, aha, I am too a complex living system. It's curious. And this idea is very interesting because if you want to create change, the first thing you need to do is to look at everything from this perspective, look at it from the perspective of a living system. It's really interesting. Idea number 2, upgrade your mind, think trinary. So since our childhood, we have been told to think essentially like a robot in binary mode. Yes, no, correct, incorrect. Does life really works like that? I am not sure. And the problem with binary thinking is that it works really, really well on the short term. It's effective, you know, I know, yes, no, no, but it separates everything. It divides us. Do I acquire or do I reject, right? As you can see, this is completely impossible to understand complex living system using binary thinking. It doesn't work. So I invite you to upgrade experiment with trinary thinking, which includes the third element. Yes, no, why not? Yes, no, what if? Yes, no, why not? Oh, did I say that again? This is the idea. You add a third element, and it allows for complexity. Check things in a different way. Practice thoughts experiments daily. We have today a lot of problems, both in life and business, and we need to innovate collectively. And we all know that innovation never comes from something that's linear. Innovation is non-linear. We all know that. It's interesting because we all know that, but we're all scared to experiment with new modes of thinking, as if this would, you know, change us in a weird ways and so on. So worry not, I am your pathfinder, and I've done little experiments. And this is about to get weird. Disclaimer, do not try this at home. I'm new at this. I'm going to share with you an idea that I've been playing with for 7-8 years. I'm a beginner, and this is a short preview only. Time hacking is fun. So the way I've been thinking a lot about how to get these disruptive ideas, how to get these hunches that help you create. And one of the best things I found out is to play with the concept of time. We have a very curious, very binary way to think about time. When you think about time, you see this as this line, past, present, and future, right? Well, there's a problem. Really smart people, such as Albert Einstein and David Bohm, have told us this is not correct. Einstein says this line here, past, present, and future, is an illusion. David Bohm says one moment of time contains information about all of it. What does it mean? What does it mean? I've spent 2 decades trying to think about this. It's a very complex idea. And so I'm an artist, so the first thing I did was to do a visual representation, and here is just past, present, and future intertwined, combined into one thing that pulses. It's one thing, but it's in motion. And the way I thought about it was to think about it a little bit like a hypercube. But for the sake of our conversation, I'm going to keep this line, and I just placed a circle around it so you know this is not a line, it's one thing, okay? So I started doing curious thought experiments. And really simply, I started with the basics, okay? I'm here in the present moment, and using my imagination, using a form of visualization, I can go over here, and this is my past. It's over here, whoop. And I can jump into my past and say, hello, it's me from the future. And and then I choose key moments that are important, because you guys have all key moments in your life. It's the moments where you'll be discouraged and you need to continue. And because you continued, your life changed for the better. It's also moments where you decided to stop something that was not good for you, things like that. Or moments where you were wondering, should I try this new thing? And you're hesitant. And I pick all these moments and I jump in and I say, yes, it's me from the future. Keep doing what you're doing. This is going to be good. And in some cases, I say, hey, stop that. Don't do this. And I come back to the present moment. And so oddly, doing this kind of visualization a lot, I found out, I feel a little bit changed. I feel different, which is curious. And of course here, behind this curtain, a psychologist could walk in and say, but sir, of course we know that. That's why, this is what I do. I say, wait a moment. This is not exactly that, because I take it to the next level. So if I commit to this exercise, right? If I do this all my life, for the rest of my life, I'm going to revisit my past like a time traveler. And I say, hello, blah, blah, blah. Okay. From this moment today, I can imagine that my future self is coming too. And so this is purely a thought experiment. But it's for me the idea of, can I trust my gut? Can I acquire a form of knowledge that comes from another source? And here I playfully put it as a time traveler. Okay, I don't know this thing, it's just an experiment. And guess what? Trying to listen in moments, so I'm in the present and I have moments of doubts or moments when I want to try something new, but I don't know if I can do it or not. I try to listen to my gut as if my future self was talking to me. So, as I say, I'm new at this. I've done this 7-8 years. But this type of experiment has yielded really, really curious and interesting results, and I'd like to share with you a story. So when I started Whitewall magazine, I needed, I'm the creative director, and I needed to reboot this magazine. And I'm not a super smart guy, so I was thinking about, how do I do this? It's really hard. You have a brand, essentially. How do you reboot it? And the genius idea that I had was, is it the genius? I'm going to put Daft Punk on the cover of a magazine. We're going to do a fantastic article with them, and life will be great. Of course, that's my sketch. Daft Punk, they're amazing, they're coming, it's totally cool, life was gonna be great. The thing is that I know them a tiny bit, and I also know that they say no to 90% of the projects that come to them because they're very busy, and they're also only interested, they're real artists, they're only interested by projects that are meaningful for them. And so I try first to ask myself, I need to pitch them an idea. So at first, I'm not, again, I'm a little bit silly, so I'm very binary. I'm saying, I need to find out how I'm going to convince them. And this is going absolutely nowhere. Because what do I have? I have nothing for them. I represent an independent magazine. It's like, it doesn't really work. So instead, I use trinary thinking, and I try to ask myself, how can I help them? And I thought a lot about this, and it took me a week to do a pitch. So I have my pitch ready, I connect with their manager, and he says, interesting pitch, and he says, we will give you an answer in 7 days. And now it's day 7, I am doing laundry, like this, quick, 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 with my hands, as I always do. And all of a sudden, I have a really strange gut feeling, extremely strange. And it's kind of a voice that tells me, you're done with laundry, go get coffee 15 minutes away from your house. And I totally resisted. I said, and it's a horrible coffee place, by the way. It's the worst. I'm like, I don't want to go there. This is terrible. And the voice said, no, you go right now. So obviously, I am scared, and I'm like, yes, I will do that. So I take my car, I drive to this place. Hello, I want a coffee. Thank you. Here's money. So I get the coffee. I pick it up, and I turn around, and who's sitting here? Daft Punk is sitting right here. So you have Thomas and Guy Manuel. And I say to them, hey, it's me, it's Guillaume. And they look at me like they see a ghost. They are extremely spooked out. And I am too. And so they stand up, we shake hands, we stay like this, awkward, we don't say anything. And all of a sudden, Thomas says, you know, what's really weird is that we approved your project last night. So it's wonderful to see you today because we're going to do it. And then, in fact, this is what happened. This is my original sketch. And we worked with Mitch Feinberg, a great photographer, and we did this project. And as I imagine, the magazine was instantly rebooted. Interesting stuff. So now what? Buckminster Fuller, one of my idols, and I believe a lot of you know him, says we are called to be the architects of the future, not its victims. This is a very important idea. I ask you, can we together create the future we all want? Because we have to do it together, right? The time where we said, the experts are going to do it for us, it's over. So I'd like to leave you now with just one image, one idea. I'd like for you to imagine a mountain lake. Beautiful, very still. It's almost like a mirror. And then there's a little cloud that's coming over it, and boop, a little drop of water. And then when the water hits the lake, a beautiful ripple, right? This lake is reality, and the droplet of water is you. Every time you do a creative gesture, every time you try to bring meaning into your conversations, every time you're trying to look at something from a different perspective, you create a ripple. So you're thinking, well, I'm just a little drop of water, you know, why should I care? Because if we all do it together, you know, there's what's called a compounding effect, and all these ripples work together. So I'd like to invite you to experiment with your own life, with new ideas. And then if we all do it together, things are going to change. Because if we all do it together, you know what's going to happen? We're going to change the world. Thank you. Thank you.